Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Glowing Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Glowing Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
.350 727s. Are you texting me right now? Is this not working? I can't decide.
Man, I was about
talking about it.
Hold on.
How many did we get? How much did we get?
All right, it's up now. Hey, man, you might want to start over. Let me hit the rewind button. Wait a second. Right. Wait a second. Rewind button.
There we go.
Hold on. Here we go.
All right, we're trying it again. September 24th, 2024. Obviously having some issues over here. Technical difficulties. Episode 170 of the Glowing Bracket Racing Podcast. TSR Racing Products brings it to you absolutely for free every single week. Power Glides, Turbo 350, 727 transmissions parts, BRG 3D printed parts, anything you need. Brian Garrett will pick it up, make it for you out of any kind of dimensions you got going on and send it back to you in a box, ready to go on your race car. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. Shirts, stickers, brochures, anything you need for your business. Call Syntex Printing. Driven Racing Oil, GBR 10. Get yourself 10% off any kind of oils they got, any kind of transmission fluids. They got cleaning products. They got rear end oil. They got all kinds of petroleum products. Use the code GBR10. Get yourself 10% off. Proform Parts. Visit proformparts.com and check out the alternator that we are giving away this month for your specific application. Whoever wins that, all you got to do is be a subscriber on our YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button. It is 100% free, just like GBR is free every single week to the viewer. Crew Chief Pro software. You need a little money to get some parts. You need to get Crew Chief Pro software so you get the dial in order. That way you just got to hit the tree and run the number. Don Higgins got you figured out over there a long time ago. CrewChiefPro.com. Spend a little bit of money with them. Tell them GBR sent you. 8th Mile Apparel. That's where you get these nice shirts and hats and then hoodies and all kinds of stuff. Weather's starting to turn. If you're up there in Bristol, you might need a hoodie. And 8thmileapparel.com is where you go get that. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're doing giveaways all month, all the way until the new year on behalf of proformparts.com. We got a ton of great things that we are giving away. Again, absolutely free. Just hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Before we get into the show, George, I got to give a shout out to a couple of my buddies. And if one of your buddies, in fact, you might know Chip too. I'm not 100% certain. We might have got you on the phone a couple times. One time.
Yeah.
So shout out, first of all, to Chip Bullock, my buddy out there. He got this Cutlass. He's been working on it for a while. Started Top Bulb Racing. He's had a couple issues with it, just crazy stuff like breaking the rear end and just like little stuff every time he comes out. Well, this time he went out there and he let go, and I'm telling you right now, he was driving it to the very end, got to the finals, clicked it just, I believe, 8 red in the finals. First time everything kind of came together for him. So shout out to Chip for getting it done out there, almost getting it done, man. There was only one person did better than him, and technically he never lost because he red lighted to the other guy, so he lost himself. But good job, old Chip, getting it done out there. I'm glad to see you doing some good out in that new car. And, of course, our buddy of the channel was just on a couple weeks ago. Dylan Champion, man, did pretty good out there at the Roger Rhodes Memorial Race out there at Kinston, and gave away the best losing package award to Carl Duff in round 6. Carl's kind of a legend out here in the foot brake game. I mean, he's won countless track championships out here. His son Tommy, same way. They're the kind of the Nick Hastings of the North Carolina area. Both of them running in the same family, but one of the best to go off the bottom bowl for sure. Dylan awards that to Carl on Saturday, then goes to Galata on Sunday, picks up trailer, goes out there to Galata on Sunday, and drives it down to 6 cars out there. He finally figured out how to hit the tree, George. I was pretty proud of him. So congratulations to old Dylan for doing a good job out there. 2 show enough performance rides deep in the rounds this weekend at Galata Motorsports Park. But George, what do you got going on, man? What have you been doing?
Nothing. Yeah, I want to reiterate what you said about Champ too. He sent me some time slips. He must have been driving his behind off because that car is terrible. I want everybody to know if you run Dylan Champion, his car is terrible. Okay, you heard it here first. All right. Anyway, yeah, man. Not much going on for me. Maybe I get a chance to get on Mo out this weekend. I'm gonna go run some valves after we get done in here and make sure everything's good to go. Fire off one and get him on warmed up. See if we can't go out there to XRP Extreme Raceway Park and participate in a little teams race for the IHRA. So that's what I got going on, man. And you know, having fun watching some spring fling. That's about it. You know, they're on the mountain.
Right, man. 500K is the way. That's why we named this episode that, because at the end of the day, man, $550,000 was paid at the OG Million. $500,000 is going to get paid this weekend, and the Great American 500K is coming up later this month as well. In fact, speaking of the Great American 500K, I saw that they made a post earlier today. I think I shared it on the Going Bracket Racing Facebook page, which you need to follow if you're listening to us right now. You need to follow that, because anything you miss elsewhere will be on there. Of course, this show's on there every Tuesday for free for you, so you might as well be on there. 128 car shootout. I think the winner gets their choice between a Scoggin Dickey 582 Headhunter motor or a Stage 1 Folk Race Cars chassis. Runner-up gets the other one. That 128 car shootout, I believe, opens for entry right after this show is over. So pay attention to the Great American Bracket Races Facebook page. They got links up, all that stuff to take you to their website, get that all figured out. Been watching the fall fling. In fact, I think they're in a 50K shootout right now, 32 car, $50,000 to win shootout. And right now we're down to 8 cars. We got Kevin Crawford, Pete Diagnolo, Nick Folk, Chad Duke, who was just one total, by the way. Scott Sanders, Tucker Cancelar, Domino, another guy. His car died on the starting line, and the other guy had already red lighted. So Vinny gets through the next round. I don't know if it coughed with that thin air out there. And Tim Marklew, of course, is still in. So we got a couple more rounds left in that. See who wins $50,000. I'm sure they'll do a little bit of splitting once. Might start splitting this next round. I don't know, but
yeah, there ain't a lot of cars left. I bet you they're chopping that money up already. 50 grand at on the top. Yeah, they're gonna be chopping that. But yeah, man, it's interesting out there. I called it the spring fling. My bad. It's the fall fling. But man, $500,000 on the top. One thing that we saw already, Casey, which we can talk about just kind of right off the rip here, is we already saw rain. Okay, so that R word that we probably don't want to say too many more times, just for the sake of crowning a 500K fall fling victor. But Casey, talk to me, man. Especially without Crew Chief Pro, what happens on a mountain after it rains? All this stuff has to make some drastic changes there. I'm not for sure if you know. I know I've never raced at Bristol. I don't think you have. But what do you think would happen after the rain? Is the humidity going to go up? Or are we going to go down? I would have to assume the humidity go up if the sun comes back out.
That's all I got to say. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. Crew Chief Pro might know. That'd be the only way you can figure it out. But
I was going to say. So
luckily, man, go ahead.
You think we're gonna see quite a bit of racing this weekend? Did the weather clear up? God, I know you watched the weather forecast a little bit more than I did. What's going on out there?
Oh, it's a terrible forecast. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, I think it's supposed to be clear Saturday and Sunday. Every other day is supposed to get a little bit of rain. Luckily, Bristol, we just recently went through this at Gateway with the OG Million, just the other day. So, and what happened there? They had 740 cars finish the race because they have jet dryers because they're a national event facility. What's Bristol? National event facility. You saw a big jet dryer behind a truck. You saw 2 small jet dryers behind a 4-wheeler, and they're racing again. So Unfortunately, we're going to have to see those jet dryers a lot, but I think we're not going to have a problem as far as getting everything done. Now, the OG Million, 740 entries, they didn't have buybacks. This race has 425 entries because you have to be in a single entry race. So 425 entries, and you have to be entered into the big race to be entered into the 50s, which means we have 425 cars on property. So that being said, with the buybacks, because there's going to be buybacks since it's a single entry, there will be, in essence, there will potentially be more cars going down the track than the OG Million. So, or at least equivalent. I didn't do the exact math, but it's going to be real close. The fact of the matter is it can be done. We saw it get done. Now, I don't know if Bristol has a curfew. I feel like they do. Gateway did not have a curfew, so they could race till 4 in the morning till Brian Whitworth won at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Right.
But that being said, I've never seen someone complete an event as quickly as the Spring Fling team. So I think that unless there's a crazy washout, we might have to combine a 50 with another 50. But as far as getting everything done, I know they want to get the $500,000 race in for sure and give it its glory, which they should, because that's a huge deal. And I have some stuff to talk about on that a little while later, just pertaining to what the race means. I did talk to Emily Biondo this morning, and she said that the way that they ended up doing everything, which people who are watching should know by now, but there were some changes. Everything ended up going back to kind of how it was before. There was test and tune today until 2. I think they extended it a little bit due to weather. They're going to give 2 time runs if the time frame allows for it. So that's cool, because usually you get 1 and here we go. Yep. They were going to do time runs. I believe the normal schedule said they were going to do time runs today at 5 anyway, and then we were going to go racing tomorrow. That's what they're still doing. Everything's going as normal. The 50K shootout's going right now. Again, they had a little bit of rain earlier, shut them down for maybe 30, 45 minutes, got back to racing using those jet dryers like they're supposed to. And I think as long as the Lord's willing, I think we're going to get everything in this weekend.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, because right now on YouTube, I think Dylan Champion, he made a pretty good educated guess here that a Galat racer was going to win the 500 grander. I'm willing to make a wager on that, Dylan. If you just want to text my phone, we can gamble on that a little bit if you'd like to, because I don't know how many Galat racers are there, but I know there's 425 cars total. So maybe 5 Galat racers made it. I will take my chances at any bet you want to make there, buddy.
It might not be a great bet, George, because right now Galat racers have a 25% chance of winning this 50K shootout already.
No, wait, we said 500,000.
I'm just saying, you said there might be only 5 there, and there's 2 already.
I'm willing to take my chances on the field in this particular instance. Not taking nothing away from Galat, but I know there's maybe 5 or 10 racers there out of 400 and something odd racers, and all of them going to be tough, so I got to take – that's a smart – any bookie would say you got to take that bet, you know? You got to take that bet.
Hey, put your money where your mouth is. It isn't me. I'm not the one you got to convince.
I'm ready. Hey, I'm ready. But the good thing is, though, they're racing. They're already racing. They're getting it in. I've seen some time runs already. Thanks to the YouTube page already showing us live stream. That's one thing I really like about Pete's idea to go live. He shows you everything. He ain't going to show you half. He's going to show it all to you. I like that a whole lot because that means I get a lot more racing to watch. So pretty.
You know what I like? This is what I like about Peter Biondo. A lot of changes were made yesterday. It was all over Facebook. Everybody knows. I'm not saying anything no one knows. Everybody saw it. Peter got out on the microphone in front of all the racers and said, hey, I'm sorry, I did this, I did that. Maybe that was the wrong decision. I'm going to fix it. This is what we're going to do. And he went out in front of the people, talked to all of them. And that's all it takes a lot of times. That's the reason, again, I always say Spring Fling is top tier, because he got out in front of the racers. A lot of people would hide behind a computer or call somebody else, have the announcer go out there. He went out there in person, said, that's my bad. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to make it right for the racers. And they are. I mean, that's why everybody likes going to these Spring Fling races, man, because they know, again, it always goes back to when a racer is in charge, The right decision is made most of the time.
Yep, that's true. That's true. I thought I was muted there for a second, and if that was the case, I'd have been muted the whole time, Casey. So I'm sitting here looking at it. My meter's not jumping. Well, that's the crisp working like it's supposed to. But yeah, man, that was pretty stand up for him to. I mean, he's got to get the race in, number one.
Right.
None of us
And
are
it's not
promoters. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not his fault that this hurricane popped up out of nowhere and it's going to go up into Tennessee. I mean, come on, what's up with that?
Right. So it's like, I'm not a promoter. I don't understand how to be the promoter. Maybe one day, give or take. But to make a call like that on the fly, honestly, even if you would make somebody mad, you still have to produce your product, which is one of the greatest to do it in the promotion game. So my hat's off to him. He didn't hide around it. He didn't hide behind anything. He came out and he said this weather is going to be absolutely atrocious. We might want to try and plan ahead, and got a little bit of adverse reaction. But what did he do with his reaction? Going about his business with it, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess we might as well talk about this. What do you do in this scenario that when you have a weather forecast like Bristol, whenever let's start with the beginning. There was a poll I did a couple weeks ago when we were down to 6 cars in the OG million, and I figured there was about $475,000 left to split. What do you do in that scenario? The poll was simple. It was, do we split and quit or do we race? It's the OG million. This isn't a regular $100,000 race. If it was a $100,000 race, I think a lot of people would probably say, man, we've been racing till 4 a.m. the last 3 days. I'm tired of this. Let's just split and go home. But it's the OG million. You can't do that. You can't have 6 people win the OG million. You can't have the same scenario happen with this $500,000 race. I mean, these are the biggest races that exist.
Yes.
We can't do that.
No.
So what do? We have to finish it.
Are we talking about from a promoter's perspective or a racer's perspective? I think the answer may be the same regardless of which seat we're in. You know, the promoter, especially the OG million or the Fling or Guaranteed American 500 that's about to come on, they're going to want to get their races off. Number one, their sponsors, their people that they said they were going to produce a product for are waiting to see that product actually got produced. So in your case with the poll that you had, I actually watched that poll myself. I didn't vote, of course. I didn't think I deserved the vote, but basically saying if that race would have got rained out that whole day, the OG the folks would have moved that race to Sunday, in my opinion. You're running off the OG million no matter what, in my opinion here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would think the exact same thing is going to happen with the fall Fling, just simply because it's $500,000 just to win. I mean, I have the flyer down here. We might as well read off kind of how this is. And also, by the way, it has points fund with it, which we'll get into a little while later. But $500,000 just to win, $30,000 to runner up. So I mean, just between the final rounds, there's going to be $530,000 to split in the final, bare minimum.
Right.
So it's, and then obviously it'll end up getting split. Something this big will probably end up getting split around 32 cars. I would think, unless someone's really holding out on something, then maybe it'll go to 16. If it goes to 16, there's going to be some people paying off some big chunks of their houses, I would say, or buying new race cars. But
right.
The thing I think is very interesting about this race in particular is it's a 425 car capped field, single entry. And that's what I think is very interesting, because we've talked on this show several times. This is actually one of I don't know how many people, because this race last year, not the 500K, but this race last year at Bristol was, I think, the first race he said, look, man, we can only do single entries. We have 600 and something cars here on the property.
It was definitely in Bristol. Yep.
Yeah. So I wonder at a certain point, number one, when are we going to have to go to single entry for a lot of these major events?
Yep.
For all of them?
Yep.
Because the Spring Fling probably could be the first one that has a big enough following they could actually do it at most of them.
Yeah, and I think you're saying a lot right there in itself. It's going to be depending on what promoter is putting on the race, number one. Okay, if it's the Fling Boys on the mountain, we know it's going to be packed, period. If it's the OG in St. Louis, we just watched it. It's going to be packed. Great American Bracket Races Million or 500K, whatever they're putting on, packed, okay? It's just going to depend on the racers, even TB promotions for that matter. You know what I mean? It's going to depend on what race we're at. But those big ones, they're eventually going to go to single entry only. Casey, I actually like the format a little bit more than I thought I would. Just because it definitely evens the playing field. The playing field is very even out there. So
Yep.
even with the thought of no buybacks, because I think you're going to see that too. Eventually, it's going to be single entry, no buybacks. I don't know what that's going to do to the entry fees, but I see it on the horizon. Casey, what about you?
Well, I've always thought that whenever we were younger, I remember going to a lot of these bigger races, and there was a lot of them where they seem to always have time for gamblers races and stuff like that, which we don't really see much anymore because they're just simply not time. The car counts have gotten so big. Now, to make these purses huge like they are, you have two options: allow double entries, get more car count artificially, or raise the overall entry fee. What the Spring Fling has shown just now with this is you are able to get 425 entries and pay the amount of money they're paying over the whole weekend. They're probably paying somewhere close to $750,000 to $1 million.
Close to $1 million. Yeah.
So it's possible to get the car count to do that now. So do we want to keep having these races that have 740 entries, 800 entries? Maybe one day we'll get to 1,000. Who knows? I feel like races like the OG Million probably should never be capped, just simply because
so prestigious.
Right. It's something that you want to be able to participate in. And like, for example, NHRA tried to find a way where you do it off grade points. How many races have you participated in? Well, unfortunately, the way that works sometimes is you're allowing people who, I don't mean anything bad by this, but you allow somebody like Dan Fletcher, who has, I think if you were a past champion, then you automatically get to enter these. I don't know. Dan will tell me if I'm wrong or whatever. But I thought it was something like if you were a past champion, you basically can enter whenever you want. If you have been to X amount of races, you have to be to X amount of races to be able to enter the U.S. Nationals, which that's understandable because you got to participate. You can't just show up.
Mm-hmm. You got to have points.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you don't want to cut someone out of ever being able to participate in the OG Million just because of some reason like that.
I think across the board in these races, honestly, if you ask me, Casey, I don't know if you should ever put a cap on the 500 grander. The 500 grander, the OG Million, the guaranteed American Million, whatever. Who's ever putting a big number at the top, I don't think you should ever cap that. I think you should take as many entries as you can get into that race. Just in my thought process, it's just the business standpoint of it. I'll take as many people who want to give that big of a entry fee until my biggest race of the year, every single time. So, Casey, I don't think it affects. I don't think any of this is going to affect car count. Is the great part about it. Single entry, no buyback, all of that. It's not going to affect us racers. I'm going to St. Louis next year. I'm telling you, I'm going to race the OG next year. Okay. It's not going to stop us from coming. Is one thing I'm going to say. I don't care if we do get 1,000 entries in that race. There's still going to be 1,000 of us there racing for it. Period.
Yeah, I wonder how long it'll be until that race has to show up, because Gateway is the only place you can look from an aerial view, and it has 750 entries, and it looks like only half the place is full. So they got plenty of room for things like that.
Right. I think that these races need to start earlier. I'm about to
in the day, like time wise.
You have to start earlier in the day. Okay. It's not, even if the sun ain't up, I still think we can start drag racing, dude. That's all I gotta say. If we started at 7 o'clock and it's still dark outside, so be it. Let's go drag racing. Turn the dang lights on and let's go drag racing. Because that gives us what, 2 hours most of the time. Most races start at 9. We didn't get out the first round in the OG Million until 3:30. Even if we started at 9, that's the first round. What are we getting ready to do from there? It's gonna be 4 o'clock in the morning every day if we do that.
Right, and that is true. There's a lot of beyond the starting earlier thing. There's a lot of downtime that doesn't need to be downtime. I understand the crew needs to be rotated. Obviously, they need to eat lunch. They need to use the bathroom. They need to get in the cool whenever it's 100 degrees outside. I get that. You might need that at these races you expect to have tons and tons of people at. We need to have a couple extra crew members to be able to constantly have a rotation. Maybe every couple hours, someone rotates in and then someone rotates out, and they take a break for a couple hours, sit in the AC, cool off. Because number one, none of us can race if the track crew isn't doing their job. And they got the hardest job because they're standing out in that blasting sun the entire day. They have no shade. If they do, they might have a pop-up canopy, but they're moving and they're on asphalt all day. So we need to make it as easy on them as possible. Ultimately though, I think we've shown that the car counts have not really went down as everybody thought they were going to. They've kind of stayed where they are. There's a lot of people chasing the dream of winning one of these major races. I mean, it's crazy. If you hit it big at one of these races, somebody last week at the OG, I don't know how they cut it up in the final, but the finalist, the winner, was supposed to take home $250,000. That would pay off a lot of people's houses. Pay
off my house and get me in another one because I'm putting this one right on the market.
Think about it, man.
Come on, man.
Obviously,
play the game.
Yeah, obviously Bart Nelson's older than us. I'm sure his stuff's paid for. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of people that were younger that win that race. Like, let's go back talking about the Fall Fling. Hunter Patton won the $500,000 race. Let's just say he split it up like crazy. He still took home probably $150,000, $200,000.
Right. He wasn't hired. Was he a hired gun at that point?
I think that was his own car.
It was his own. Okay.
I think. Now, he might have been entered by somebody or something like that. But the fact of the matter is $200,000 whenever he might have been 21, 22. Like, he was pretty young.
Yeah, I like to use Ezel as an example there, too, of somebody who hit it good on a good race. And the next thing you know, he took off. Ezel race cars was on the scene. Pretty smart dude right there. He's Johnny Ezel. But I get what you're saying, Casey. Matter of fact, hold that thought, because I think we can go to commercial right here and then come back and talk directly about this whole old head or young gun who's going to win this next race. Hang in there, guys. We're going to start that conversation next.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
We've completely redesigned our best-selling thermostat fan to make it even better. Proform's high-performance universal 15-inch electric fan is the perfect upgrade to replace the stock fan in your vehicle. It's equipped with a thermostat that's adjustable from 160 to 240 degrees. Mounted to your radiator supports with sturdy brackets and driven by a heavy-duty motor, this unit pulls up to 2,800 CFM of air with a 14-amp current draw. All mounting hardware and wiring are included.
All right, welcome back. Casey probably over there watching the Fling or the fall Fling. I can't watch. I don't have a TV that's free right now. I guess I could turn it on back there. But hey, thanks for joining us on the 170th episode of Going Bracket Racing. We can't do this without our community, guys. You guys out there who come in and watch and talk and kind of give us ideas of what to talk about whenever we might not have an idea. Appreciate you guys. And that's I know I'm speaking for Casey right now, but I'm sure he doesn't mind. We appreciate you guys always willing to come in and chat with us for about an hour each time. So Team 14 Motorsports, TSR Racing Products, Proform Parts, Crew Chief Pro, Driven Racing Oil, BRG Motorsports 3D printed parts, Syntex Printing, Ken Jones Performance, 8th Mile Apparel, and those guys over at Your Ad Here. Man, George and Casey, I'm going to tell you what. I never met anybody so customer-centric in the first place. But George and Casey keeps the customer in the front of their minds at everything that they do. From live streaming, from getting ready to run a top sportsman car, or racing my OS 10 down the street. Thanks for being with us and being marketing partners with us. Casey, lost my words there for a second, but we got to talk about this, man, because we saw the OG Bart Nelson take on Gage Birch. And the interview that Bart Nelson gave was reminiscent of the late great Scotty Richardson, talking about the young man's nads. Okay, that might still not be down yet. So, Casey, man, what are the young guns going to say to the old guns when they finally get the mic? And is that going to happen this week?
And I don't know. I don't even know who I would pick at this race because, to be honest with you, I think that any of the major people you pick are not going to be the winner. I don't think a big name is going to win this race. I always find it interesting that a race that is single entry, for whatever reason that may be, or if they get rid of buybacks, there are a lot of different names when you get to about 16 cars. There's going to be a couple big names still there because the reason they're big names is because they deserve to be big names. They win a lot of races. But a lot of those guys, if they're not doubled, they don't end up in the same position that you otherwise would see them in, as far as I have seen. So I don't know. That's the only answer I have. I don't know who I would pick. I think that I feel like once I get down to about 32 cars or whatever, I could probably have a decent pick by watching people race throughout the day. But I don't know. I have no idea who I would actually pick before the race starts.
Perspective, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, your old guys. I mean, everybody's obviously going to go with one of the Williams brothers. People are going to pick Jeff Serra. I don't know. I feel like he's about in our age range, so he's not necessarily a young gun anymore, I don't think. I feel like if I had to go with a young gun right now, I feel like I'd probably pick Donovan Williams. I would expect him to do very well at a place like this where the weather's kind of all over the map, especially with the weather coming in and out, because Donovan drives more with, I feel like, the nitrous and the brake pedal than he does with the gas pedal a lot of times. I feel like if I had to pick a young guy, I would pick Donovan probably to really do something at this race.
Right. Now, and I don't know if he's there, but for some reason, my wife even said this to me. I think we were at the Flickr race, and he was out there doing his thing there. For some reason, I like how Rocky McLean is driving that race car, dude. I
thought he was going to win the OG the other day.
You and me both, man. Look, the dude, he's a very, very solid drag racer, dude. That right now in the biggest, kind of like the real top heavy wins. That's my young gun right there. I want to say, I don't know how old he is. I want to say he's probably in his mid-20s, maybe a little high. I'm not sure. I don't know, right? That kid can race, man. So if I had to have one at the race right now that I would say he's got a real good shot at winning this Joker, and if he's in the final versus somebody, I'm not betting against him. That's probably Rocky McLean from you right now, dude.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, let's get into the older guys. Okay. Who would be your pick in that older group of guys then? And I guess what would we say would be, let's not even say the older guys. Let's just say like the more people you would have expected to just people who dominated 20 years ago, something like that. So like people in their 40s and up, something like that.
You know, it's so hard too because man, everybody comes out of the woodwork to race a fall fling, dude. You got Diagnolos is out there. You got everybody out there. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a hard field altogether. If I had to pick somebody who I thought would be, they're going to be in the split round, I believe. And I'm going to have to go with my man, Troy Williams, man. And the only reason why is because the Williams brothers if I could just pick both of them, one of those two are going to be there because they tend to know what to do on the mountain. And number two, even if they don't know what to do, they created holding numbers for crying out loud, probably helped in the first place. So I feel like they have enough skill, enough drag race ability to make you just lose whenever you should have won. So I got to take a Williams boy, no matter what.
I think I'm going with I'm at a crossroads, but I think I'm going to go with Nick Folk.
Good one. It's a very good one. In the track.
In the door car, in the Cobalt.
Car. There you go. Okay.
Yep. Because I think he drives that car extremely well. That car. I feel like Nick Folk in the Cobalt, Nick Folk in the dragster, I feel like is either he always goes deep in anything he is. He's a very consistent racer. He always has been. Nick is at any given point this weekend. I bet you Nick is at least in sixth round of at least one or two of the events. I mean, he's always deep in the rounds. But I feel like the Cobalt needs a major win. I feel like Nick is always like right there on the cusp of these big events. My secondary choice that I was deciding between, and I don't know if he's there or not. I'm sure he is, but was going to be Shane Carr.
Oh wow, yeah.
I
Another
just
one of
feel
those
like,
guys.
yeah, I feel like Nick. I just feel like Nick is so well versed in how to make the car go dead on, both by building cars and working on cars, and that's all he's done his whole life, and being a great race car driver on top of it. I think that Donovan, I thought, because Donovan can make it go dead on, like almost force it to go dead on, and I think Nick knows what dead on is and how to get there.
Yep.
So
Yep. And luckily they're in kind of two different categories. I'm pretty sure Nick has a few years on Donovan, right?
significant.
One door truck that I think I've neglected a little bit here. Silver and black. He was decently deep in the OG, I feel like. That's Chris Bear.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna be there or not, but that's another guy who I feel like is in a groove. And stay in the door truck, man. I love that truck. You know, I wish I could not, you know, that thing's
I think
good.
Chris does better in the truck than he does in the dragster, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna say this too. I think what's the old boy's name that's out there that drives for Chris out there with you? Or he might have moved.
Holloman, but he's driving for I think he's driving for I think that's David Brown's car
This week?
Jaden Lawler and Will are teammates now. I'm sure Will's there. I don't know if Jaden's there or not.
I would have to imagine he's there. Didn't he just win on the mountain?
Well, he won at Xenia, then he won somewhere else, another 50 grander, and then he did pretty well actually at the OG Million. He was down to the split in the OG Million. So, but you got to remember this was a pre-entered race, so I don't know. It depends, because Jaden is a kid, dude.
Right.
Like he might be. I don't know if he's 20 yet. I mean, he's young.
Right.
So he might be in high school or something, you know? I don't know.
I heard getting it. Yeah, man. No, you know something? I haven't been paying attention to the YouTube chat that much, but I'm looking at it now, and Dylan Champion kind of did throw a good comment out here, kind of going back to the thought of not capping the million, the big progressive purses races. He's got a pretty good point here. He's saying that this 500K that we're going on right now, I think this is guaranteed money, if I'm not mistaken myself. So there isn't a progressive purse to this. You know what I'm saying? This is guaranteed $500,000. I do think you need a cap on a race like this, or potential. As a matter of fact, I kind of want to take it back already, because I still don't want to see this race capped. Not this much money. I want to see how many cars you can get to enter into this race. Entry fee is not on here, but I'm pretty sure it's there somewhere. I just can't see it. And I bet you it's a pretty penny. You know what I mean? 425 cars getting in it. So got to be above $2,000. I guarantee that. But
yeah,
make a good point, Dylan. Definitely take the cap off of the progressive purse races. I'd love to see 626 cars in the OG Million to where it actually pays the million. You know what I mean?
Dude, they're on track. I feel like they're going to. I mean, it's you know, it's a known fact that originally, whenever the OG was developed, they said specifically it was designed to really never pay $1 million. However, I mean, we're at the point, man, we're getting so many cars in there that I just can't imagine it never paying $1 million. I mean, I would estimate next year, I think it's going to pay over $600,000. I mean, people are wanting to go to these so bad anymore. And I think that, I think some promoters are kind of leaving the game, and some promoters are coming into the, you know, I don't know. I think there's been a plethora of races where racers have been able to pick and choose exactly where they want to go. And I don't know if I would say the days of that are going away, but I think that there's some specific promoters, namely the Fling, obviously. The OG will always be there. It'll be the last man standing if there ever is one.
Yep.
TB is up there now. Great American is up there now. King of the Coast, kind of adjacent to Great American. Actually, it's been one of the longest running big money series in the entire history of bracket racing. You know, I just think that we're kind of building a series. And this is another thing I want to get into, speaking of series. Spring Fling, this event has a points fund for the 50s and the 500. And they pay 1 through 5 places. So $10,000 overall. I think it's like $5,000 to win, say 2,500 to runner up. I actually have it written down here. I might as well say the right numbers, I guess. 5,000 to win plus custom impact helmet trophy and big check for first place. 2,000 for second, 1,500 third, 1,000 fourth, 500 fifth. Do you think that when we have these multi-day events where, especially in this scenario, where you're basically forced to run everything pretty much within, I mean, I guess you could show up and run just the 500K, but I don't think anyone's going to do that.
Nobody's doing that.
So do you think we're going to start seeing more points series to go along with these events? Because I don't think there's anything more exciting than the triple threat event that I believe is like 3 years ago now, where Stevie Dustin comes from 26 to win the points championship the last day. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of times where you see there's no MVP deal or something like that, and you see a guy that loses. Like if you're a guy that loses the round before the money every single day, I mean, you would still be deep in the points.
Here's something I want to say too, and this is gonna be off subject, and I'm gonna come back to the subject, but there's an elephant in the room, obviously, in the YouTube chat here, and there's a reason why we won't report on that elephant, and that is we don't know anything. So if we know it, we'll report on it. I like anything that's good for bracket racing. That's going to be my motto and has been my motto since the beginning of this this podcast. So if it's good for bracket racing, if it would get us all to the track a little bit more, I'm all for it, and I don't care who's doing it. But to the elephant in the room, if we learn more, hey man, we're not scared to report on it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But Casey, to your point, man, we need a point series. And anybody who's able to have more than one race, even the folks are doing it now. So the OG has the OG Million in St. Louis, and then the mini OG is in Gainesville, right? So now they have 2 races to where they could have a point series. I would love to see, instead of giving away these dragster races next year, I would love to see a turnkey race car, period, to the winner of the whole series, okay? 1 grand prize. The winner of the series gets this car with this motor, and it's ready to go. You can race it the next day if you want to. That would be awesome to watch. That's all I got to say.
I agree with that. And I think Montgomery, pretty sure Montgomery, Alabama was doing something like that. I don't know if it was a full turnkey deal, but I want to say it was Charlie Stewart Roadster or something like that. So I don't know what's going on with that, but ultimately, I would love to see that as well, because that, I mean, it would add up to the same amount of money, but it's such a huge prize and it would bring so many people. I feel like if you put something out there that was like $75,000 race car or something like that, $80,000 race car, people are going to follow the program to try to win that race car if they're especially. And I feel like some people have figured this out, some people haven't. The reason why I always talk about the VMP deal is because Stevie Dustin came from 26th or 29th place to win the championship. And the reason that is because if you have to buy back, you only get half points. He barely beat Corey Galletti because Corey had to buy back that time. And it just makes it to where, rather than, for example, the last race, if you're in the top 10, you could potentially win the championship in a normal style deal. Now, if you get half points because you buy back, you could potentially be in like the top 35 and still win that. So you're guaranteed to have all those people there at all those events at any given point. And obviously this is shuffling around. And don't forget, you're usually not just paying a top tier prize. Some of these events, what was it the other day? The race you recover.
It's Flicker, man.
Race you recover and have 20 places. Right. So in theory, if you're paying 20 spots, then you guarantee that probably anybody that's 75th or above is going to keep coming, because they can make such a big move if they have a great weekend, like Derek Patton did that weekend, where he just ran away with everything.
And he almost got Corey Galletti. Corey Galletti ended up winning it, right? I can't remember who took out Derek Patton. It might have been Jimmy Nobles that took him down, honestly, to kind of stop his roll going. But he jumped in a dragster and was just knocking everybody loose. I agree with whoever said give away a door car and not a dragster. I'm definitely a door car guy. Number one reason why is because I can't have a dragster. I don't have enough space for it. So I would definitely like to win a door car. But Casey, man, giving away a full car. Matter of fact, if that race ever happens, I hope there's a race after it so they can put a rule in there that says you must drive the car that we just put together in the next race. You can't run in the car that you just won in. You got to race the car you just won. That'd just be neat. You know what I mean? Something of add something to the cake, you know. But ain't like you don't get a buy run first pass anyway because you won the night before. That's generally the rule at most races anyway. But Casey, man,
I would like to see somebody give away a door car one time. I understand why they give away dragsters because it would be so expensive to give away a door car. I mean, it would just be.
I mean, it's not like we don't have rollers for sale.
They're a lot more expensive than a dragster. They're a lot more because anything you would be willing to give away has to be nice, and a very nice door car is very expensive.
That's a true statement, man. That's a true statement. So, yeah, I don't know how you could give away a door car either, honestly, dude. You know, you said somebody was giving away a Charlie Stewart Roadster. Yeah, that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I know that hurt the wallet. There ain't no way it didn't. You know what I mean? So, but that would still be neat. I don't care. That would be awesome. You know, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give away a S-Dime.
But the thing is, I know if you did it for an overall series points championship and it was for an entire year worth of racing, that's at that point I think you could probably make it happen.
Yeah. It's got to be an entire event.
Well, because rather than giving away 4 dragster chassis or maybe at times I think the Fling sometimes gives away 2 at a time, one to the winner, one to the runner up, and the winner gets the choice. So
some of them are stage 1 though. Some of them are stage.
Yeah, but a stage 1 is still like $20,000. So I mean, you take that and multiply that out, and then you would have that for a door car. Now, also, I don't know. It could be some sort of sponsorship deal where they promote for them and then they give them this chassis, and so ultimately, I don't know. I mean, it's not our business; it's their business. They're the ones that figure out what everything costs. But I would love to see that one day, just as a person, as a spectating point, even or as a participant.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome if I'm racing it or if I'm watching it. It would be even better if I won the son of a gun, right? Dylan's going to say that.
Dylan says over here, can I get a big boy version given away? Yeah, Dylan, you'd want one of those ones where you get the right to buy the first one. He'd need a wide cage and he'd need a tall cage about 3 inches taller.
Right. Dang, man. Dang. Anyway, man, as we said before, drag racing is in a bracket racing, especially, is in a very good spot. That's all I got, man. We're giving away $1.5 million in this month. More than that, I guess, 1.55 since they gave away. What did you say? 550? Was that the million?
550 to win.
Right.
Just to win.
Right. So I mean, giving away a lot of money.
I gotta say this real quick, George, because this is funny, and anybody who's watching this show is more than likely a bracket racer anyway. But I think it's funny whenever these mega events, like we just had Pro Mod SmackDown, 150,000 to win, and they're promoting that like crazy. And they talk about all these $100,000 to win races for all these pro level things, and I'm just sitting here thinking the whole time, like right now, there's a duck race getting ready to go on, and I love watching them and I love reading the comments, but I just always think to myself, never get in on any of that stuff, but I think it's funny when they start talking about MPK versus ducks races, and they all start arguing about how much money they pay and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking, the Spring Fling's paying $500,000 just to the winner this weekend, just in one race, and there's other $50,000 races, and they're all arguing about how much money they're paying. And I'm like, if you take just the winner's purse of just that $500K, it pays more than that entire race combined.
Right.
And those cars are all $1 million cars. So I just think it's funny. But anybody who listens to this show will probably think that's interesting too. But I'm sure I'm not the only one that's noticed it.
Yeah, buddy. So, man, just coming up on that hour. You know how we do. Comes up so fast. Shoot, done it 170 times now, so it gets even faster,
Yep.
What you got in closing?
Just letting the rain fall out here, man. I'm trying to me and Dad are trying to make a driveway. My dad came out here. We were actually intending on racing. Then this hurricane came through and it's going to wash everything out. I think my entire yard's absolutely terrible. I got the Chevelles in my building, and it's basically landlocked until we get this driveway finished, because we got this little 20-foot trailer. Dad hauled that car in. I shoved it back there with the tractor last night and got all but, well, I did get stuck one time, and I pulled it forward, and basically it was our last try. And I shoved it back there and got it in. So we got that car in that shed. And then we got my trailer's in the driveway now, and got my other car blocked in, and my other one's sitting over here. And I'm scared if I left without this driveway in here, then I don't think I can get back in.
Yep.
So I think we're going to work on that this weekend. It's going to rain out, I would say, this weekend. Anything we could do anyway. I'm hoping it clears up. We can get everything in order, and maybe we can make it to PDRA next weekend as long as it doesn't rain out. So that's my master plan. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but got to be able to get in and out of the shop to be able to go.
Yeah. Hey, before we get out of here, guys, make sure you take a look at this flyer I'm going to throw up here next. You know, me and Casey are going to get out of here and see you guys next Tuesday. But it's pretty neat for Mid-State Dragway to turn that 10 into a 20 and then run another 10 that weekend as well. So if you guys are in that Mid-State area, St. Louis, Indy, wherever you guys are, you do have some pretty good money on the line there. I think it's the weekend of my birthday, October 11th, I do believe. So go support the racers and the promoters who support bracket racing, support GBR. You know what I mean? And one of y'all win it while you at it too. But on behalf of me and Casey, we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks for joining. Have a good one.